Abusuamu Kwaba Edoba Daily Abilities, I'm sure. Ababa bi na enkwere omo first sitting no. Ababa bi ade nsem bi atodwa se wate se MPs no. Omo ta de letter ba se omo release omo enyeden. Omo baba bi akire mu se wo MP biana obekwa akọ di boni in the name of parliamentary immunity no. And Tisha, they say no ye bonia or mana mamatin loud and clear say parliamentary any privilege. It's not a privilege. I say let's make this loud and clear. Parliamentary privilege is not what immunity from lawful inquiry. It is not a license to disregard the law. Or Paja say what would be the bonny we MP so ye why obey Obama was pa is not to disregard the law. Untimi hide between a year parliament na unibony. It was parliament proceedings and a coy.
We have one dated 26th May 2026, and it reads, Right Honorable Speaker, I'm overspeeding. 2025, sorry. Absence from Ghana. Pursuant to Article 59 of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, I write to formally inform you of my intention to travel to Abidjan on 26 May 2025 to participate in the 2025 annual meetings of African Development Bank Group, scheduled to be held on 27th May 2025, and I return same day. During my absence, the Vice President, Professor Nana Jane Opoku Ajiman, shall, in accordance with Article 68 of the Constitution, assume my duties. Signed, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, I have another message from His Excellency the President, dated 20th May 2025. It also reads, Right Honorable Speaker, appointment of justices to the Supreme Court. On 29th April 2025, I submitted my nominations by letter to the Judicial Council for appointment to the Supreme Court. The chairperson, Acting Chief Justice Paul Bafubone, on behalf of the Council, advised me on 5th of May 2025 of the suitability of my underlisted nominees for appointment to the Supreme Court. Names: 1. Justice Senyor Jamefe. 2. Justice Sir Dennis Dominic Ajay. 3. Justice Biel Simon Turbare. 4. Justice Philip Bright Mensah. 5. Justice Janapare Azua Battels Kojo. 6. Justice Hafisata Amaliboba. 7. Justice Kweku Tawia Aka Buafo. In accordance with my duty under Article 1442 of the Constitution of Ghana, 1992, I consulted with the Council of State by submitting the above names and their curricula vitae to the Council of State. On 7th May 2025, the Council of State notified me by a letter and a report indicating their suitability for appointment. Accordingly, pursuant to Article 1442 of the 1992 Constitution, I am requesting that Parliament consider and approve the appointment of the nominees as Justices of the Supreme Court of Ghana. Attached are their curricula vitae. Mr. Speaker, it is my respectful hope and expectation that the approval of the nominees will proceed expeditiously to enable them to assume offices as soon as practicable. Please accept the assurances of my highest consideration. Signed, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable members, I have copies of the CVs of the nominees, and I accordingly refer this to the Appointment Committee for consideration and report to the House. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I recommend that we allow the leadership of the Judiciary Committee to participate in the vetting of the nominees to the post of Supreme Court Justices.
Minority from bench, you heard the Majority Leader. What do you have to say?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in reference to our standing orders, we believe that subject matter committee representatives are always allowed to participate in such vetting or hearing. So I agree that reference should be made to the committee. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, please, member, are you on your feet? Honorable member. Well, I will call on the members of the Judicial Committee led by their leaders. I don't know the leaders of the committee. And I will try and give details so that you can get the specific persons involved. That is dealing with Appointments Committee, Standing Order 2175. (2171) details out the core members of the Appointments Committee. Yes, please.
Speaker, with respect, not to belabor the point, if you reference 2172, that with your indulgence, it says, amongst other things, the chairperson and ranking member and 2 other members of the relevant subject matter standing or select committee shall join. So, by extensions, we may not even limit ourselves to only the judiciary committee. By extension, we could even consider the Constitutional and Legal and the Subsidiary Legislation Committee. No, Subsidiary Legislation and Constitutional and Legal are relevant in this context.
Yeah. It was for good reason that I called on the leadership of the minority to respond to the application, because the application was specific. It mentioned only Judicial Committee. And your leader, represented by the deputy, submitted your position. Now, you have brought in a new application. It means that I have to listen to the majority as to whether they will agree that we add beyond the leadership of the Judicial Committee.
Mr. Speaker, I do not object to the Constitutional and Legal Committee leadership joining, but I don't think the Subsidiary Legislation Committee should join. So I agree with him to the extent that he proposes the leadership of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee.
Honorable members, it's still important I read those provisions so that we are all clear as to who in particular is expected to be part of the Appointments Committee. 2171 says the Appointments Committee comprises the First Deputy Speaker as chairperson, Minority Leader as ranking member, the Deputy Majority Leader as vice chairperson, the Deputy Minority Leader as deputy ranking member, and the following other members. Honorable member, please, you are completely out of order. Members should know that you don't stand with your back to the maize. It's unparliamentary. If you want to whisper to a friend, you move to the side of the friend or the back of the colleague or friend and whisper. But your back to the maize shows disrespect to the authority of the house, which is the maize. Please. Honorable members, after these members of the leadership, we also have the majority chief whip, the minority chief whip, and 5 other members selected based on the numerical strength of the parties in Parliament. Two, the chairperson and ranking member and 2 other members of the relevant subject matter standing or select committee that join the members of the appointment committee to consider persons nominated by the President for appointment as Chief Justice and Justices of the Supreme Court, Ministers of State, Deputy Ministers, the Administrator of the District Assembly's Common Fund, the Special Prosecutor, and other persons specified under the Constitution or any other enactment. More relevant is 2175, which says a member of the Appointments Committee or the leadership and the two other members of the relevant subject matter standing or select committee joining the Appointments Committee shall not be a Minister of State or Deputy Minister or a Minister or Deputy Minister designate, except where the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs is the majority leader. Fortunately, we don't have Ministry of Parliamentary Affairs. So that one applies to situations where we have that ministry in place. So please, these are the members that will constitute the Appointments Committee to go into this referral. But the general rule that permits members to be in attendance applies. So any member of parliament can be in attendance. But definitely, you have no right to vote. And subject to the permission of the chair, you may ask questions. Honourable members, it is so decided.
Justice and suspended her supposedly in consultation with the Council of State. How do we reconcile the constitutional seriousness of such a determination with the glaring political entanglements surrounding the petitions? The entire process is cloaked in opacity, infected with conflict, and dripping with contradictions. It insults both constitutional logic and the intelligence of the Ghanaian people. This is not constitutional governance. It is a calculated weaponization of constitutional mechanism. It is not justice being pursued. It is control being consolidated. If this House fails to interrogate this moment with seriousness it deserves, then we too risk becoming complicit in the slow suffocation of the judicial independence in Ghana. Let us rise firmly and without fear to affirm that our judiciary must remain beyond the grasp of partisanship and beyond the reach of political retaliation. Equally frightening, Mr. Speaker, is the growing abuse of the coercive powers of the state. National security operatives, some acting with impunity, have taken to raiding the homes of former appointees, members of Parliament, and ordinary citizens with the faintest provocation. We are dangerously close to becoming a republic where state power is weaponized, not for protection, but prosecution. Mr. Speaker, I must now turn attention to most troubling development in our nation's foreign affairs. Just yesterday, the Minister for the Foreign Affairs, Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, with the reported blessing of President Mahama, announced the closure of Ghana's embassy in Washington, D.C., citing allegedly corrupt practices uncovered by a ministerial audit team. Mr. Speaker, let me be clear. Corruption must be confronted, but such confrontation must be lawful. It must be measured and aligned with Ghana's long-term diplomatic interests, and not reckless, knee-jerk, or politically performative. It is an astonishing and deeply regrettable decision that the government's response to internal administrative failure is to shut down one of our most important missions abroad, even if only for what they call a few days. This embassy, located in the capital of the United States, the world's most influential nation, is not a district office of a private company. It is a sovereign outpost of the Republic of Ghana. It represents the face, the dignity, and the credibility of our nation. To shatter it abruptly because a single staff member was caught engaging in criminal behavior, conduct that could and should be prosecuted without disrupting diplomatic operations, is not just excessive, it is diplomatically amateurist. Mr. Speaker, the ministry decision has already caused confusion and distress to Ghanaians abroad, many of whom rely on the embassy for consular services, visa and passport renewals, and critical documentation. It sends a dangerous signal to the international community that our government lacks the institutional maturity to isolate wrongdoing without imploding on the entire system. It also fuels perceptions that Ghana is unstable in its diplomatic governance and unstrategic in managing scandals. Moreover, how does a government that claims to value national reputation explain away with a dramatic act to its foreign partners or multilateral agencies given to the U.S. State Department? What assurances can we be given to the U.S. State Department, investors, or multilateral agencies headquartered in Washington, D.C., that Ghana remains a reliable and stable diplomatic partner? No other serious nation reacts to an internal administrative fraud by collapsing its entire embassy structure, unless it is filled straight or one deeply unsure of itself. Let it be stated unequivocally, this House would not allow such recklessness to go unexamined. The Minister for Foreign Affairs will be summoned before Parliament without delay to provide a full account of the decision to close our embassy, the legal basis for doing so, the implication for Ghana's diplomatic posture, and the cost, both financial and reputational, this country will bear. We demand to know how and why a sweeping measure to know how and why such a sweeping measure was taken without prior consultation